Hi, I'm Karl Konrad and welcome to our weekly edition of Australian Immigration News. Tonight, we cover the opening of the Queensland Government's requirements for sponsorship for the 190 and 491 visas. Also, Ministerial Direction 107 is exposed for really what it's always been, a de facto student visa cap, much to everyone's surprise of being kept in the dark.
I'm in the dark here!
So what is Ministerial Direction 107 and why is it responsible for vandalizing the economy? Well, it's a direction to process student visa applications from offshore applicants in a particular order. Now, processing priorities are nothing new, and these days it just seems to be a fact of life for visa applicants. When Direction 107 was introduced, it did not seem worth mentioning, and we didn't. In hindsight, what a mistake that was. Its name seemed non-threatening. The order of considering and disposing of student guardian visa applications and offshore subclass 500 student visa applications doesn't ring any alarm bells. If we had known, in fact, it was designed and implemented to be a de facto student visa cap, Australia's media, including us, would have been all over it. Now the cat is out of the bag thanks to the Education Minister, Jason Clare.
There are some universities over the course of this year that have got more students than they had last year, others less. That's in part because of this de facto cap that's been put in place at the moment that's throttling the system. It's helped some universities, hurt others.
In a press release on the 4th of September, Universities Australia, which represents 39 of our top institutions, called for Direction 107 to be immediately removed. They said, "The government has used Ministerial Direction 107 to slow visa processing to a trickle and drive up visa cancellations in response to political pressure over migration and housing." So, has the public been deliberately misled then? It would seem so. If Direction 107 is really a de facto student cap and nothing about priority processing, then perhaps there are other government policies being silently used as a cap when it seems they are meant to be doing something else. Let's take the new genuine student requirement known as the GS, which began in March this year as a prime example. Will it simply take over from Direction 107 to ensure that there are sufficient visa refusals so the 270,000 student visa cap numbers will not be breached? Will it become the second de facto cap backup? The issue of the GS being used for mass student visa rejections, about 25% at the moment, was put to Universities Australia Professor David Lloyd at the National Press Club this week.
But to me, the bigger problem is the extraordinary number of rejections. So something like 1 in 5 visas from applicants who want to come to universities are being rejected now on the basis that the processing officials think they can earn more in Australia than and so they won't go home. On that basis, you could knock back pretty much people from just about any country apart from maybe, I don't know, Switzerland and Norway and half a dozen other countries.
If you're not in the in-tray for processing, you're not going to get processed. And if you do get looked at, well, it's much easier to knock you out than to let you through.
So if the Direction 107 processing arrangements are not enough to slow you down until you give up on your application, then when you are assessed, the GS will be used to refuse you and everyone else until the number of student visa grants seem acceptable. In the future, the genuine student requirement will simply be used as a security handbrake to pull in emergencies when the cap numbers threaten to overflow.
But the limit on foreign students seems to have got off to a cracking start. The Department of Home Affairs has absolutely slashed student visas well ahead of the caps. Net student arrivals in August were 9,150, less than half last August. And the number for the year to August was up 136,460. Half the proposed cap. And that's finance.
Yesterday, the Queensland Government released details of its financial year sponsorship program for the 491 and 190 visas. There are quite a range of new requirements over last year, the most notable being the introduction of the registration of interest, and ROI. After the expression of interest, the EOI, has been completed. Remember, Queensland has only 1,200 places allocated for sponsorship, 600 for each visa, so it will be a very competitive process. I'll summarise the significant parts, so check their website for the details. There are 4 categories to choose from when qualifying for sponsorship: skilled workers living in Queensland, Queensland graduates, small business owners pathways, and skilled workers outside of Australia. The Queensland graduate provisions for both visas are: you must have completed all of your bachelor degree or higher qualification from a Queensland university after the 1st of July 2022. And the qualification must be in one of Queensland's special priority fields: agriculture and environment, engineering and related technologies, education, health, information technology, and natural and physical sciences. You must also have work experience in Queensland after you complete your course in any ANSCO Skill Level 1 occupation and must be at least 30 hours per week. For the 190 visa, you must have 6 months experience and evidence of another 12 months of work. And for the 491 visa, just 3 months experience and evidence of 6 months of further employment. For those in Australia but have not studied in Queensland, or perhaps you have studied but cannot meet those graduate provisions, you could meet the Skilled Workers Queensland provisions. For both visas, you need to be working in Queensland for at least 30 hours per week in your nominated occupation or closely related occupation. You will need at least proficient English or higher. Your occupations can be on the list of any of the usual state-sponsored occupations, but Queensland will focus on the verified shortages in Queensland's growing industries as outlined on their webpage. And they are energy, construction and infrastructure, health and social assistance, education, professional services, agribusiness, tourism and hospitality, and transport. For the 190 visa, you must have been working for at least 6 months and have evidence of ongoing employment for 12 months. For the 491 visa, you need at least 3 months work experience and further evidence of 6 months employment. Now for the small business owner category, there are some significant updates, and too many to go through here, but the biggest changes is that there are now 2 pathways within the SBO. Pathway 1 involves the purchasing of an existing business. This pathway now requires just $100,000 investment for those businesses purchased after the 1st of this month. For Pathway 2, you can start your own business from scratch, but it must have been running for at least 2 years. Please read the conditions carefully for these 2 pathways. And finally, for skilled workers outside of Australia, they have a special offshore Queensland skilled occupation list with a priority processing in particular for energy workers in the energy sector. You need to have at least 5 years skilled experience in your nominated or closely related occupation and have the minimum of proficient English or higher, and that's even for trade workers as well. Some of these occupations require a license in Queensland to work, so please check this list carefully. And it's about time we had one of our viewers' comments once again. Subcar writes in and says, "Karl, you did it again. The sinking Titanic video was hilarious. The leaders getting confused on the iceberg with an ice cube is unbelievable. The guy leaving that about to sink Titanic is the upcoming Vice Chancellor in my university, and I am a victim of the 485 age restriction. How funny is that?"
An iceberg?
More like an ice cube, sir.
Subcar, perhaps you should send Bill Shorten this video after he arrives and arrange an appointment to ask him if he can lobby the government to change its mind on the age cap issue. After all, I'm sure the university will want him to use his influence, and perhaps that is why they chose him in the first place. And once again, thanks for watching everyone. Remember, if you need help, we are always here. Please book a consultation by going to our website, or if you're in a hurry, just pick up the phone. Remember to subscribe to support this channel and ensure you don't miss any of our weekly editions. As always, take care out there, and I'll see you next time. So bye for now.